Did you send Angie the link, or was I supposed to?
Angie has the link. Okay, so
Oh, okay, good.
Chris will be with us momentarily. So the block that you see, there she is, was the inside of her pocket.
It was a very exciting pocket, I know. You
All
almost got to see the inside of a Whole Foods.
right. Okay, you know what? Let's just, you know what? I'm assuming we're live.
It says we're live.
Says we're live. Okay. All right. So what's that? Oh, that was weird. Okay. So the topic for today, here's Angie, is going to be planning for education. So I have questions for both Chris and Angie, and then I'm going to like make a point. Okay. So we'll start off with Chris. When you go to a trade show, what's the planning that goes into that? What do you have to do in order to go to that trade show? Chris, can you hear me? Angie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we'll go to Angie with that question instead.
Oh, there's so much stuff. I have to block off the day, whatever days it's going to be, and I've got to do that the year before.
Okay.
Because
so I'm gonna take notes. All right. So making sure that I understand this correctly. Okay. You block off time, correct?
Mhm.
And you do that like a year ahead of time.
Yeah, I've already blocked off my entire schedule for 2022.
Okay. A full year. All right. So what else goes into planning that?
Now I got to figure out travel, accommodations, who's
Okay.
going to take care of my pets.
So there's travel, accommodations, your pets. All right, what else goes into that?
Cash. Lots and lots of cash.
So you have the budget for that. And that's actually going to be topic of another live stream, by the way, is going to be, hey, Chris, we cannot hear you. There's like this buzzing sound in the background from you. You She's talking. You see that, right?
I see that. I see the lips are moving.
We see the lips moving. We hear nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, but getting back to you, Angie. All right. So
So
the pets have
the
to be.
pets have to be.
All right.
All right,
All right.
Pets have to be taken care of. I have to. Um, Tommy just chimed in with, "Hey y'all, why is Chris running for the police?"
I don't know. She just came out of the Whole Food stores.
So there's the pets. Then, which staff are going?
Okay.
And
I was like I said, I'm taking notes here. Right.
um,
There's I'm
are
gonna
they
make
staff?
Okay.
So
Staffing.
So are they going to be staying in a hotel?
Okay.
I got to account for that. I have to account for, am I paying for meals? Usually the answer is, if I ask them to go to the trade show, the answer is yes. I'm paying for meals. I'm paying for hotel. I have to account for that. I have to account for their the price of them getting into the trade show. I have excellent staff. I pay for their education. And when we go away to Intergroom, I pay for their stuff. That's, my cost of doing business, my cost of educating my staff, and they have a lifetime ticket to Intergroom because
and
in
can
the
you
end
hear
it was
me
cheaper
now?
for me. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. There doesn't seem to be any more feedback.
Wow! I only had to log on and off 3 times. So now we have learned for free that Restream doesn't really like phones.
Okay.
Or it doesn't like it when you're in a phone and then get in a car that also connects to your phone. It really hated that.
All right. Good to know.
Sorry.
So it's suffice to say that there's a lot of planning that goes into doing on-site, going to a trade show. All right. Um,
I I will look at the trade show dates since I travel for so many, and a year in advance, like the second they announce when the dates are for the following year, I put them in my calendar so I can plan around them.
Yeah.
So around this time of year is great. All of the dates for 2022 are there. Put them in your calendar.
okay. So the point being, right, is that if you want to go to a trade show and you want to do that continuing education, you plan for it. It's not something that necessarily happens at the last minute because you know what, you may not be able to get hotel, you may have to move people around in the schedule. So there requires effort on your part to be able to do that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I do the same thing too, because at one point I was speaking at several trade shows a year and still working. Okay. So, again, you know what? You put the dates into the book, you make sure that you're not scheduling clients for the times that you're going to be away. And then we add in, all right, and for those of us that travel further than a local show, it's getting there and coming back is a day in itself each. Right. So it's a day to travel going and a day to travel coming back. Right. So we have to account for that. And then as you get older, you know, all of a sudden you need like a day before that and then another day afterwards because all of
I
that.
do the day after as
Yeah.
well because the day of travel is eaten up, and I take the day after to just have a day to decompress.
Yes.
Where I'm not up at 5 o'clock in the morning and running out the door and I got to go to work and it's
All right.
it's
So
too
I'm going
much.
to go to what is the point of this particular live stream. And I'm going to start off with a story, all right, of how I wasted money on an online show. Hi, Lisa. That, you know what, I fully intended to watch the recordings and I never did. All right.
Guilty.
And that's, yeah, we've all done that, right? But you
Guilty.
know what?
Yep.
That is poor a poor way of spending your money. Delise is saying that sometimes you should even take an extra day to see some sites in the area if the show is being held. You
Yes.
know what? Yeah, that's actually a really smart thing to do. So going to a trade show can really, honestly, truly be like a week event. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Pre-COVID, I did that all the time when you could get rental cars. I would rent a when you could get rental cars for reasonable. You could get a compact car for with fees and everything about $100, and have it for half a day and see some sights or a day, and you're good.
yeah. Let's not talk about the time we waited last minute a couple of months ago to get a rental car, and it ended up costing us for a 1 day rental like $300.
Ouch.
Ouch! And you know what? Honestly, we could have cabbed for that price.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So getting back to the point, all right. So as everyone knows, I do online workshops, online summits, and a couple of complaints that I got from them was, you know what, I forgot to watch them. Okay. So for which I'm going to say, if you can take the time to plan to go to a trade show, you can take the time to plan to watch an online workshop.
I've honestly never forgotten to watch one.
Well, yeah,
Probably
I am
because,
not. I am not surprised by that, Angie. I'm not surprised
but I'm a
because
wicked penny pincher. I know where every single dime, penny of my money goes. And if I'm shelling out cash to see something, it's in my phone, it's on my calendar, it's on my schedule, it is everywhere. Because the very idea that I spent money on something and didn't do it or see it or something like that would eat at me for forever. Like I would be 80 and going, oh, when I was 30, I missed that trade show. I would still be myself about it.
so you know what you for me, you do that once and you're like, "Ugh, that can't happen again. Okay. Um, Part of it is making sure that what it is that you're paying to watch is something you want to watch, that there's a benefit for watching it. Okay. So not just
Absolutely.
like saying, oh, this person that sounds really great. It's only like $40. That's awesome. I'm good. And then not do it. Hey, Tommy has a question. Do you budget for the year or not? And actually, next week I want to tackle that in itself because that deserves its own special time. To how do you budget for continuing education? Okay. So, getting back to my point, what I do is that, you know what, I realize I have to plan for it. There are a lot of times I simply cannot attend something that's online. It's time of day that doesn't work for me, or day of the week that doesn't work for me. So I probably watch 90% of what I purchase myself as a recording. Right? But then I schedule that. All right. The recording goes up the next day. Okay. So where in my book do I actually schedule the time to watch and make sure that I watch it? And if I don't schedule it, then I'm not going to remember to do it. So when I purchase something with the intention, and I'm going to watch it later, right after I hit the play button, I go over to my calendar and I schedule, I will be watching the recording this day at this time. And it's easy as that. And you do not have to do that a year in advance.
No, but the second you hit that pay button, you should put that reminder in every medium that you
yep.
need to remember that.
Okay, so Lisa says she missed a lot of her trade shows over the years because she was the sole provider for her family. My husband was disabled and we had 4 kids to raise. I was constantly reaching out, asking for help, and no one did and truly cared as a self taught groomer to learn. Um, and I'm sorry that happened, Lisa, by the way. But I think it's the right people, and I think things that are like online now is easier today than it was even 2 years ago, and was way easier than 2 years before that. Right? And you know what? And let's face it, not everybody can get to a trade show. All right. Um, she said Super Zoo was her first trade show since 2003. But that was a huge difference. Super Zoo is one of my favorite shows, by the way. Um, so I think there's a huge difference in the quality that's available now than was in the ease of which you were able to do it. Technology changes by leaps and bounds, by the way. Right? And everybody should have an opportunity to learn. Right? That's just my personal opinion. That is that education is out there, and you should avail yourself to it. And if for some reason it is not working for you, then you know what? Reach out to the people who are doing it and talk to them. Why is it not working for you? It took me literally 3 years to find a closed captioning company that would actually close caption and not run me 10 grand a year, because I'm a small business. 10 grand is not a reasonable business expense for me.
As somebody who has profound hearing loss, I had been looking for that since the COVID, since the world room started.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't understand most of what people were saying. I tried earphones, I tried earbuds, headphones, cranking the speakers. There are some tones I don't hear well, and I couldn't hear a lot of what was said, so I'd have to watch the class 3, 4, 5 times just to catch sections of it. Because if I couldn't see them speaking, I'm out of luck.
Yeah, that is also maybe a little bit easier too, because a lot of times that when we're speakers doing something online, they're looking directly at the camera. So they're not like, oh, hey, and then talking and looking around the room. You're facing forward, right?
The demos are hard for me because when they're working on a dog, they're working on a dog.
Right.
So anything during that, I generally don't catch it. I don't hear what they're saying.
All right. Tommy has a tip for, and this would be either for whether you're at a live at a trade show or you're watching something, online, that he highly recommends making yourself an action plan every day after you have learned all of the things and they're fresh in your mind. Yeah, that's what note taking is for. And then note taking and then implementation. Right. And then that also goes back to, are you watching the programs you should be watching?
That's a good point too.
Chris, got anything to add?
You know what? That is a really, really good one, because as a house call groomer, one of the last things I watched was on MUDs on the Positive Education site, and I mean, I loved it. It was kind of a little aspirational for me. Like, all right,
what class was this one?
This was on MUDs.
Oh, okay. That would have been Michelle Knowles' class.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like, I'm sure if I really worked at it and wanted, I could make this work for a house call, but it's something that would be better in a van or a salon. So it was more aspirational for me. So it was something that maybe wasn't the highest priority for me to watch at that time. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't regret watching it. Knowledge is fantastic. But you have to, if you hate driving, for example, you hate driving and you're not watching something on mobile grooming is never going to be useful for you. Unless you go into business with your spouse and they love to drive.
Okay.
But yeah, picking what you're going to use. And when you're looking at classes, I do a mix. I do some that are like inspirational or aspirational, like I aspire to do these things. And then ones that I know I'm going to need and use immediately. Like, oh my God, I could use this tomorrow. I should have had this last week.
Okay. All right. So now going back to Angie, when you're deciding, let's go back to like a trade show. Okay. So when you're going to a trade show and you're deciding on what classes you're going to take, right? How do you make that decision?
Okay, first thing I do is I copy the schedule and I print out about 10 copies for me and 3 to 4 copies for everyone else. And then I go through and I check off all the classes I want to take. And then I review it again and I scratch those out. And then I do it again and I change the classes. By the time I'm done, I usually have 1 copy left because I've made so many revisions. And then I get to the trade show and it's about 10 minutes before the class. And I go, no, I want to do that one instead. Because sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah. And sometimes
the speaker themselves is the reason I want to go to the class. I may have taken a similar course and maybe even that course before. Like my bather had already taken Terry's bather brusher course. And so I said to her, what do you want to take? Do you want to take the skin and coat with us? Or do you want to take Terry's class again? She said, oh, I want to take Terry's class again. And I was like, okay, it's the same material. And she says, like, no, I'll get more out of it. Go ahead.
You know what? And that's a really valid point. Okay. Especially on the longer classes that are like a skill in it. So as everyone knows here, I not only do I teach pet first aid, is that I train people to become instructors. All right. 2 of which are right here, by the way. But when part of the reason that Pet Tech allows instructors to go back with others, with the certified masters, to take the class over again, is because the second time around, you have a different mindset going into that class again. All right. Mm-hmm. It's not the baby doe with the big eyes going into the class. You have a couple classes under your belt now. And so that when you go back and you like retake that class again, because it's a 3-day class. So you go back and take it. There's things you're going to miss because it's a 3-day class. You're overwhelmed. Okay. Number 2, you're seeing that class through different eyes. So for me, I will always retake a class, especially if I like the speaker.
And there's a number of speakers that I've taken a number of times.
And there's certain topics, like for me, skin and coat is covered so many different ways by different speakers. That's a class you can take where the title sounds almost exactly the same, but take from 3 different speakers, and you will almost have 3 completely different classes. Like there will be a lot of similar stuff, but yeah.
All right. And we have, we don't know Facebook user. There's always something that you have missed. And not only that you missed, even if the class was exactly the same, but most of the time, instructors, they review their material so that
I was going to say my shear class is this much different almost every time I give it, because I will have either learned something or something I intended to say didn't make it to one class and makes it to another, or someone asks a good question that I didn't think to include. And I'm like, well, now I have to include this.
Yeah.
Or, those feedback forms when you're at a trade show.
Fill them out.
Fill them out.
Right, fill them out. A lot of things that, especially if we get like the same question throughout, like if we're doing this class throughout the year, and then we're finding we're getting the same exact question every single time, then that means it's something we need to address during the class. So then, stuff like that gets added. So anyway, Lisa says that that's what she did with Dr. Favors from Iowa State Bernard. She took 3 classes, 2 were video seminars and 1 at Super Zoo, because, again, there's like so much knowledge in people's heads. Okay. And sometimes when it gets it out, we don't always get it out like 100%.
And sometimes, I'm gonna major confession time. So I think the second time I gave the Everything Shears class, someone asked me a question and I answered it, and I thought about it for a second, and I answered it, and I gave what I thought was a perfectly correct answer. And then I went home over the next couple of weeks and went, oh, wait, fudge sickles. And they'd asked, can someone mess up your shears by using them? Like, can someone else using your shears mess them up? And I was like, oh, they really shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, they can.
And then I'm like, oh no, wait, they totally can. Like, and for whatever reason, in that moment, it didn't kick into my head that someone else with, if they grind it, if they used really heavy hand, they actually can. I'm like, and I'm like gonna feel vaguely bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel a little bad about that answer for like ever.
And I see the reason I knew the answer to that question is because I messed up Beth's scissors while I was training because I used them, okay, and heard about that for months afterwards, okay.
I mean, it's nothing a good sharpener can't fix, but it's just annoying.
Yes.
Yeah, don't touchy my shears.
Yeah.
No. No touchy. Don't even look at them.
All right, and Michelle brings out a good point. The reason for is that how we hold scissors and the strength of the muscles in our hands, it's all different from person to person.
Yep.
And so, and again, there's different perspectives when more than one person. I mean, there's like, I know Michelle is doing a skin and coat, Chris Pearson, Dr. Favor, and I'm sure we could probably, Barbara Bird, and every one of those classes is going to have a different perspective, all right, from the way that they see things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like with my salon sanitation class, every time I've given it, I've gone back based on the questions I've gotten when giving it. And I'm like, I should really add something about that. And I need to add something about that. And so it's like this section that everybody's just like, yeah, we get that. It gets a little bit shorter. And then the section that they're like, wait, what?
Well, and here's another thing why
It's a little bit longer.
Online programming, okay? It's because you are not limited to the time that a show gives us, all right? So if you're at a trade show, speakers have, unless it's billed as, some classes are 2, some are 4, but predominantly they're 1 hour. So you have 1 hour, and that includes questions to do the seminar. Get your butt out of there because, the next speaker has to come in. Okay. But for the online, we're not, that doesn't matter. If we go over 15 minutes, who cares?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and a lot of times they will schedule like a break between classes, and when they have an hour break between classes, it's a little bit easier because you can sit there and take questions for a half hour and be safe.
Yep.
But on that half hour mark, I'm like, no, because I get to my classes a half hour early. So at that half hour mark, I'm getting my butt out of the class.
Exactly. So, which is why when we do the summits, I schedule an hour in between speakers, and that's a buffer. Okay. That's a buffer for people to, if they have other questions, the speaker doesn't feel like they're being like, I got to wrap this up. It's getting late. Come talk to me in the hallway, but you want to go to another class. And also that decompression period. All right. Get up, walk around, get some oxygen back up to their brain.
Digest.
So come back. What?
Digest. Sometimes you have to let something sit.
Exactly. So we're kind of up on the half hour. So I really want to just kind of sum up that no matter what education that you do, first of all, you pay for it. So that's money out of your pocket. But regardless of whether it is online or in person, there is a degree of planning that you have to do in order that you take full advantage that you paid for the classes and you need to watch it. All right. So for online classes, that means scheduling them. Put it in your planner. I will go to watch the recording on this day at this time. All right. For me, it goes into my planner. It goes into my schedule. We don't move that. That happens. Okay. And also, there's time management at trade shows too, because you know what, the classes start at a specific time. You want to take them, but you know what? You're in the hallway, and there it is. You haven't seen somebody in a year, and you start chit chatting. So for that, alarms go on the phone.
I actually started doing that as a speaker, and I would put my classes in the phone and I would put it as an alarm a half hour before
Yep.
a class
Full
because
half hour ahead of time.
oh, because especially when you're working at a booth, if a groomer comes up and they're talking to you, it's really easy to go, oh, my class is now, and like run. Not that that's
It's not.
ever
It's not a
ever
pretty
happened to
sight to see
me.
a speaker running into a classroom and then having a stroke because they ran to the classroom
Yeah,
while they're trying to get set up. So yeah,
yeah,
it's all about time management whether you're going to a live trade show or that you're scheduling the time to do an online. And I just want to make mention that the closed captioning that is now going to be available for the summits at Positive Educational Training, that's for live classes only. Closed captioning does not record along with the workshop.
oh,
Yeah. You have no idea how excited I am was to be able to find a company that it's what they do and they make it affordable. And I've tested it out. Angie got to try it out on a workshop the other night.
Yeah,
woohoo!
it was awesome. I was like, oh, this is great. I can see everything. It's wonderful. Yeah, it was good. It was like really good. I was pumped.
Did it actually pick up what she was saying? Was there a lot of weird what or like missed
There
typos
was
kind of thing?
a couple, but like no more than you'd see on TV. Because
Oh
like
yeah,
every
yeah, yeah,
time I watch TV, I have to have closed captioning. I can't because when the angle isn't right, I don't know what they're saying, and
yeah.
I can only turn the volume up so much, and it just becomes noise. So I have to have closed captioning, and but even on the TV, it's like, okay, let me. That can't be right. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he means this. Yeah. So
I think that um, I think people will get what it is you're saying on the topic that you're talking about. All right.
yeah,
So anyway, I was talking. One of the people who were on the class it was yesterday. Oh my God, was it yesterday or was it the day before?
no, yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. So one of the attendees' name was Erin, Erin, and every time I spoke to her, I kept auto correcting her name to Aaron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean that's
Yeah.
like the same thing that happens on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle
We
says
just
she
account
loves.
for that.
It was why I really made headway in getting the closed captioning was for the neurodivergent summit because it was needed for that one.
Yeah,
Also,
Yeah.
accents do mess with it. So I'm definitely still have a New York accent. So I'll have to have a conversation with them. Um, Erin says her name spelling doesn't exist on closed caption and talk to text. All right, so it's not just me.
no, it's not like if you I watch YouTube with the closed captions on, and Erin Erin always comes out Aaron.
Yeah. And I really, once I first saw it come up as Aaron, I really made an effort to say Erin, you know?
I
Aaron.
wonder. I wonder if that is a language issue because while Erin is a proper name and we think of it as just a name, it is also Gaelic,
I don't know.
technically, right? Erin go bra? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. All right. We will see everybody next week. And the topic for next week is going to be how do you budget for continuing education? Oh,
Okay.
and because of last week's live stream, I ordered. All right, that's why I was asking about the window clings. I ordered window clings for people who have a membership, and it says member positive educational training because we care about professional continuing education.
Oh, I
So,
can't wait to get mine.
yeah,
Oh, I will put it in my car.
well, you can put it on the window of your car. It's a window
Yes,
cling.
yes, I'll put it. Yes, I'll put it in my car.
Okay, cool. Same time next week.
Same time next week. Ladies, don't go anywhere. After don't click that too. I have things.
Things to talk about. Let me
Ooh.
let's end this up then.
Okay.